Good morning.
Morning.
In your career of coaching, have you ever gone to the World Cup with injured players? Have you ever taken a squad or a team to the World Cup with an injured player or two, or one that has a niggle, that has not been playing, that has not been getting game time? And can you finally officially say that you, together with the selection panel, you were the one who also said that I would like to have this player on board, I would like to have that player on board? Were there any players that obviously, due to the fact that the selection panel is a panel, that you couldn't have, that you wanted to have?
I don't think so. I don't think there are any players that were left in South Africa that we felt should have been there. Otherwise, they would have been picked in the first place, I guess. The thing about taking injured players, when we went to the World Cup with the West Indies, Chris Gayle has always got some sort of a niggle, but he's a world-class player, and you take him. If you're talking specifically about Dale Steyn over the last 18 months has been a world-class player for us and a key part of our bowling attack. And when I met with his medical team in Cape Town during the camp, they said he needed 8 to 10 more days to be ready to play. And therefore I felt it was the right thing to do, to afford him that 8 to 10 days to see if he can get going. Because if he gets going and then I put together that world-class bowling attack that we've had, then things could be very different, you know. Even in as far as Hashim, sort of out of form for a large part of the summer, he had his family issues at the back end. He decided to take time out of T20 cricket to go and do some work with Dale Benkenstein. In the first 2 warm-up games, Hashim looked like his old self again. He got 2 half-centuries and was looking really good. Unfortunately, the first game he got a knock, a hit in the face. You know, and sort of the magnitude of something like that will have an effect on any player. Back in the day, something like that happens and it sends a ripple effect through the whole dressing room, you know. So, but I felt like certainly from a batting point of view, we had batsmen that if they click could put runs on the board. But ultimately, once we didn't have that world-class bowling attack anymore, then it became obviously a very difficult situation.
Coach, maybe just to go to the mentality thing that Stuart and Faf were talking about just before Faf left. Now, Bafana coach, Stuart Baxter, has spoken so many times about how South African players mentally struggle with finishing off a game, you know, and with our bowlers, sometimes we struggle. The bowlers have struggled to finish off a tail of most teams that we've played against. In the 2 years that you've been here working with the pool of players that you've worked with, how would you say maybe you've assessed the mental strength of South African players across board?
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that in the cricket sense, simply because when we went to Australia, for the series we played in Australia, the series ended up at 1-1. And that last game, we said, okay, this is our World Cup final. Let's fast forward to the World Cup, Australia versus South Africa in the World Cup final. Let's see how we perform. And our mentality was fantastic. And we played a fantastic game of cricket. We got 200s from David Miller, and Faf got hundreds. Lungi bowled extremely well. He was a lot fitter than he was. He bowled extremely well. KG bowled well. I think Dale Steyn also played well in that game. You know, so the mentality wasn't questioned then. You know, was never in question then. Also, when we played against Pakistan here in South Africa, it came down to it was 2-2 in the series, I believe, and it came down to a decider. We played those deciders. We always said, let's play these deciders like we would play a World Cup game. And in that decider, it was the same thing. You know, the fact is that the bowling attack perhaps led the way, but in the game in Australia, we got 300 and something, you know, in the deciding game. So the mentality at that time, I had no concern over the mentality at all at that time. In the World Cup, the build-up that we'd had, not able to get as much perhaps game time as we wanted in England. The second game got rained off. The second practice game got rained off. You know, I get and I understand where people are coming from with the Bangladesh game. that perhaps our mentality or body language or whatever wasn't as good as it should be. But I also think perhaps Bangladesh's body language is probably higher than it's ever been. If you look at how they performed in the tournament, you know, they performed well above themselves in the tournament. You know, so mentality-wise, I felt like we fronted up. Obviously, the first week was tough with the three games in the first week. We were the only team that played 3 games in the first week. Once we lost the first 2 games, and then we lost players. The first game we lost Hash as a batsman. The second game we lost Lungi as a bowler, and then so you're under that keeps putting pressure on the squad all the time. And unfortunately, we didn't recover in time. By the last week of the tournament, we were playing the cricket that we wanted to be playing, either in the first week or certainly by the middle part of the tournament. But we didn't recover from those setbacks, those early setbacks in time.
Coach, similar question that I asked earlier about your future. Now I know you still deliberate your future with Cricket South Africa. You had a fantastic record in leading up to the tournament, but things didn't go according to plan. And of course, your mandate was to win the tournament. Do you feel that you've done enough to save your job?
I suppose that will come out in the wash in the next couple of weeks, I guess. But I said this in the media in England. If you look at the World Cup in isolation, then you think perhaps I haven't done enough. If you look at what we've achieved over the last 18 months, then it's a different picture. It is. I guess it will come down to interpretation from Corey and the hierarchy.
Corey, miskien ook om net 'n Afrikaanse vraag uit die pad te kry moontlik net. Van 'n bestuur se kant af natuurlik. Yes, ma'am. Corey.
All right, and so we come out of that World Cup cricket briefing and cross now to the PIC.